EastEnders fans, and welcome to another episode of Albert Square After Dark, your weekly EastEnders podcast. This week, discussing the episodes broadcast between the 21st to the 24th of October 2024. Hello! How are you? We're back. I'm back. You're back. Everybody's back. Hurrah to that.
How was it, Rob?
Oh, hello. This is Ree, by the way. Hello, Ree. How are you?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Wait for your introduction. God, so excited to be back. Asia, which is where I've been, as you probably know if you saw last week's a special episode from Hong Kong. Soz.
The week before, yeah.
Who do we think we are? The news agent. Sorry about that. It's great. Absolutely loved it. If you ever get a chance to go to Asia, go. I tell you what, I have had the trip of a lifetime. I've got so many pictures and videos on my phone that I've got to try and edit together at some point to make some sort of holiday sort of.
Where was your favourite place? Because obviously you went Hong Kong, Japan, and Singapore.
Yes,
so which was your favourite country?
I mean, I would have to say Japan, just because it's so different from anywhere I've ever been before. And I tell you what, 6 days in Japan is not enough. I've only just scratched the surface of Japan. I tell you, I really want to go back and just sort of explore it more. I went on the bullet train. I went to tell you about Japanese toilets. Oh my God. I mean, they're amazing, Roo. I'm not going to lie to you. Japanese toilets make you look forward to going to the loo again, let me tell you.
I've heard this. You know what? It's what everyone says about Japan is the toilets.
I'm genuinely
so what do they play music to you?
Well, they don't, like, probably some of them do, yeah. But it's like you've got bidet options, but you can also shower your bum, front bottom and back bottom, Roo. Just to let you know, that's a thing. And in public toilets, there is a privacy button as well. You know the noise your loo make. You know the noise your loo makes when you flush it. You press that button, it makes that noise really loudly in the cubicle.
I've heard about this white noise kind of thing, so that it covers the sounds of any sounds that your bottom might be making.
Or any part of you. To be perfectly honest with you, it's marvelous. So yeah, genuinely considering getting a Japanese toilet attachment for my own loo.
Yep.
Save a fortune on loo roll, let me tell you.
Yeah, I'm glad that's what you've learned about going to Japan.
Yeah, if anything, my takeaway is that Japanese toilets are the best. But no, the culture was amazing. The food was amazing.
Was it? You're not normally that much of a fan of Asian food, are you?
I'm not a massive fan of, like, I wouldn't go for, like, I'm a Chinese tonight. It's just not
same.
It's not my favourite. And I wouldn't say that I discovered a newfound love for Asian food while I was there, but it's, you've kind of got to.
You might go to a Wagamama's when you go past one.
Yeah, I went.
I don't know how authentically Japanese they are. I'm so sorry to anyone who
that classic Japanese dish. Yeah, Wagamamas. A cheeky Wagamamas. No, I had sushi. I tried some sushi while I was there. I had dumplings. I had ramen. I had all the norms, all the big ones. But yeah, no, it's decent, absolutely decent. But then also we found probably the best Italian restaurant I've ever been to in my life there as well, which isn't very.
Of course you did.
Which isn't very Asian. But it was bloody good. Let me tell you, probably the best pasta I've ever had in my life. So
you could take the boy out of Europe.
Probably a better Italian food than when I went to Italy, I found. That was quite nice.
Probably ingredients, I don't know.
Probably. But there we go. But I am back now. Hope you missed us. We certainly missed you last week. Let's have a brief little chat about what we missed last week. Fortunately, I think we missed the right week. I don't think anything too mammoth happened last week. The biggest takeaway from last week was that the Chelsea secret is out. Yes, and the whole, like, Penny now knows. I think probably one of my highlights for last week was Penny ram-raging Chelsea when she discovered the secret.
Yeah.
That just made me laugh. But so where do you think this goes from here? I mean, it feels like the Chelsea stuff has sort of now been done, and this is now more about Penny and Jack, doesn't it?
Yeah, it feels like that's where it's all been kind of leading up to. Something big enough for Penny to need to get revenge on Jack.
I don't think she needed too much of an excuse, to be honest with you.
No, I think he's awful, to be quite honest. And we had all the stuff with like Amy and Penny and him being quiet. We're the same week where he said to Penny, like, oh, it's the Penny pity party. And I was like, are you for real, mate? Are you actually for real?
No.
Like, you're the reason that she's in the wheelchair and you're saying stuff like that. I don't understand why he's so unsympathetic. Do you think he don't want to admit to his guilt and his part in it or something?
Yeah, maybe.
Almost.
I did quite enjoy Amy having a go at Penny, including the phrase, I might never walk again. And it's like you're talking to Penny when you say this.
Yeah.
Like, it's... Of all the things you could say, it's probably not the most subtle. But I did enjoy all that. I'm liking Penny. I'm glad that we sort of haven't. Penny's
I
got a
love Penny
purpose.
now, actually.
Penny's
Yeah,
getting a
I like Penny
purpose
now.
now. I'm gonna be
Yeah,
honest. There was a time when I was sort of like, I'm not quite sure why they brought Penny into it.
yeah.
I don't quite get what the point of
Uh,
her is yet. But now they've kind of got this whole thing going on with her and Jack, and that's probably clearly going to run for a little bit. So that's good.
mm.
Um, the Jack and Denise thing, I thought that was. I'm glad that's sort of now been put to bed because I kind of couldn't be asked with them getting back together again. To be
Oh, and I
honest,
wanted them to get back together, actually.
did
I would
you?
quite. And do you know what? I would never a Jack and Denise stan either,
Mm.
but then I was like, do you know what? They work there, don't they? But
Yeah,
clearly
but the
not.
thing is,
What
though,
do I
the
know?
reason they work is because all we've really ever seen them do is break up. Like we never saw them that much when they were
Oh,
a proper like loving couple together, apart from the odd. But then from Ravi's thing with
yeah.
Denise
Oh, yeah.
onwards,
I
it's
like
just
them as a family unit there. I think they work well
yes,
as a family unit, and like
yeah, yeah,
Denise
yeah,
being a really dirty stepmother, I liked that.
mm,
I like just having a bit, I mean, I know they're not, but having almost a bit of a normal kind of family dynamic on the square
yeah,
were quite nice.
yeah.
But obviously, that's
I
gone.
mean, let's talk about the vote, the Branning vote, as though any Brannings could ever be in the same room and come to any agreement about anything whatsoever. Jack really thought that a vote was going to help in that situation. Crazy.
It's amazing that they all played along, but then it was so much more realistic when at first Penny were like, "Well, I don't care about you vote. I'm going to the police station.
Yeah,
Like, you think
fair.
this even matters?"
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
This isn't
Fair.
legally binding, by the way. You might be a
Yeah,
copper, but this
yeah,
is
yeah,
I don't have to
yeah.
go by this
I don't
vote.
care. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But then she saw Jordan, and obviously she'd been having her own little thoughts about
Mm,
having parents in her life growing up. So
yeah.
I think we needed that moment of her seeing Jordan and Chelsea
Mm,
to understand why Penny didn't go to the police station.
yeah.
But even still, like, because she's still talking about how she's going to get a criminal record, she still could go and do it if she really wanted
Yeah,
to.
she could at any
So,
time, to be perfectly honest with you, couldn't
yeah.
she? Like at any time. This doesn't
Yeah.
have to be over just because they've sort of she's sort of decided to have
Mm,
this moment. Well, I need to think more about Jordan than anybody else. But
mm.
we'll see where it goes. But I think this is now more going to be about the relationship between Penny and Jack and how she's going to destroy him. And honestly, like you say, at this stage, Team Penny, 100% of the way, right?
I mean, I'm Team Penny, but does she really need to destroy him if you're that bothered? Maybe just leave Walford and like. I mean, I know there'd be no storyline there,
Where's the fun
but.
in that, Ree? Where's the revenge fun in that, right? I have to say, if you want to make it official, I'd say last week Penny would have got my gold star.
Oh yeah, fair. Yeah, actually, same
Mm.
probably.
No,
Yeah.
we'd have done that last week, would we? We'd have done one of our rare same gold stars last week, would we?
I don't know if she wanted to.
Mm.
Maybe I might have. I don't know. I might have given it to Denise actually for
Okay,
finally
so
coming
let's say
clean
if
instead.
should we say officially then? Well, she didn't come
Penny
clean.
and
Chelsea
yeah,
came clean more than Denise
yeah,
did.
but you know what? Yeah, but no, it was Denise really who told everyone, weren't it?
Yes, yes, but
She
I don't
said
know.
she told the family.
She did. Well, so that was last week. And I think we definitely came back on the right week because my God, what a week it's been this week. It's been kicking off left, right, and centre, hasn't it? So welcome
Yeah, and it
back.
just.
So we have quite a lot to discuss. We've had people hanging from train bridges. We've had domestic violence. We've had social workers turning up. It's been a week. It's been a mad old week. And a new war has been declared. I would argue way later than I thought this official war was ever going to ignite, right? The Mitchells versus the Panesars. Why has this taken
Mm.
so long to happen? And why has it taken the new Mitchells to come in and start this war when there was seemed to be enough material to start them fighting way before these lot turned up?
Well, they had a little mini kind of war, I guess, didn't they? Kira and
Yeah.
Ben had some beef before, and
Yeah.
the whole Jags thing and all that jazz.
Mm.
So.
So we'll talk about that. I think we'll talk about the Mitchell Panesar stuff now. So we are back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Albert Square After Dark. So let's kick off talking about this week. And Ree, I have something to ask you. Okay, so you are the mother of a young girl. You've got a daughter, right?
Indeed, I am.
And at the moment, she's at a very sweet, innocent age. She just
Of
nearly
course.
3 at the moment, isn't she? I think. Um,
Oh, yeah, two and a
I
half,
know,
yeah.
2.5, nearly 3. So at the moment, she's all very sweet and innocent and playing with dolls and toys and
Yeah.
feeling, well, innocent-ish. But she's certainly not going around and like looking at boys and getting in
I
strangers'
certainly hope
cars and doing any of
not.
that. Not at her age.
No.
So how would you feel, Ree, if let's say 10,
10.
15 years time, okay? That something
Giving
like
me
something like
slight
this
anxiety
happened.
right now,
Yeah,
Rob,
I
with this
know.
conversation.
And your partner decided to dangle said boy that he suspected doing anything with your daughter over a railway bridge. How would you
I
feel
would
about that?
say fair play.
You'd be all up for that, would you? That you'd be
I
scared.
would.
You'd be holding the other leg, would you? If in that
Yes.
situation.
Well, you'd expect them to make sure they've got the right person first,
It might help.
at
It might
least.
help. I mean, this the were okay. So the Ivani and Mason stuff has sort of
Great. I
been.
sound like a great parent now, Rob, by the way. Dangle them off the
Yeah, I
bridge.
totally
As long as
dangle
it's
a
the
kid
right
off a bridge.
person.
Yes, I would. In fact, I'd hold the other leg. That's what would happen. Yes. No, just noted, Ree. So just tell all your kids
Don't mess
in
with
10
my
years'
kid,
time,
all
don't
right?
go near Ree's daughter, otherwise you're getting dangled over a railway bridge, let me tell you. So yeah, the Mason and Avani stuff sort of came to a culmination this week. I've got to be honest, the Mason and Avani stuff didn't go in the direction I thought it was going to go because I thought this was heading more in the direction of the Tiffany story from a few years back, you know, where Avani was just going to fall into a sort of dark underworld of weirdos and let's be honest, paedophiles at one
Yeah.
stage, right? That's where I
I
kind of thought it was heading.
I agree. I totally thought that. I thought it was going to be a much longer little
Yeah, much bigger
storyline going
story.
on.
Yeah,
Yeah, a lot
yeah.
more, yeah. Kind of glad in a way that it's not because we've still got innocent Avani, which is quite nice. I
Well,
know she's not
innocent-ish,
perfectly innocent, but
innocent-ish
you
of
know what I
Arnie.
mean. Yeah.
I mean, Mason is an absolute charmer, isn't he? What a nice boy. What a lovely boy. I mean,
So odd as well, isn't it? Like he's like what, 18, 19, and going
yeah.
off
Well,
for a kid.
he's
It
at
were
college,
more
isn't he?
it were more bizarre because she's in a school uniform. Like that's
Yeah,
weird.
yeah. I
That's
mean, at
weird.
no point, like he was. There's not even anything along the lines of like even the Jay and Star storyline where she lied about her age and Jay thought she was
Genuinely
like, yeah,
didn't
like
know,
no,
yeah.
he was fully like the first time we really saw these two together. Mason was made fully aware of Avani's age, and he was like, oh,
Yeah.
that's cool, that's fine. Yeah, wear your
Yeah.
school uniform. That makes it 10 times better. Thank you very much. What a creep.
Mm.
And he's driving around and sort of taking her to places, and he wants to have sex with her, and that very much seems to be that's the basis of that's the deal breaker of our relationship. All right, that I have sex with you now because I've taken you to dinner, so obviously we're gonna have sex now. That's how that works, right? What a creep, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, the week before, which we obviously missed on the podcast, Priya was
Yes.
having some very see
Well,
top mum
yes,
points for
hundred
Priya.
percent.
She had
No,
some
hundred
great
percent.
conversations with
Hundred
Ivani.
percent. I loved Priya last week. I loved the. I mean, there was a lot of I loved about Priya last week. Going from her genuinely trying to work out lesbian etiquette, was what she should wear to an engagement party,
Go
to
like that.
to her genuine horror and befuddlement at the idea of Barney and Ivani going together. That was funny. And then sort of the failure of the date with Junior. I quite liked her dumping him
Oh
by
yeah.
downing her drink and
Mhm.
then shrugging and then downing his drink as well. That was quite good fun. And then finally that scene where she was just giving her genuinely motherly advice. And I loved the fact that there was no hypocrisy with Priya at that point because
No,
and I think we discussed this, didn't we? It was just like, I'd be interested to sort of see how Priya is going to react to this because there's no way that Priya didn't do this sort of thing when she was a similar age, right?
exactly.
So
But that's what she pretty much told Ivani,
yeah,
like,
which I
let me
loved.
teach you from my
Yeah,
mistakes
yeah.
because,
And I think that
and
has an impact, didn't it? That I think
yeah.
because I feel like if Ivani hadn't had that conversation with Priya, I feel like she would have probably gone all the way without really wanting to, right?
Yeah, I agree. I think it definitely helped. Definitely helped. Otherwise, yeah, she probably would have tried to get in that back seat, but instead
Mm.
she said no because it didn't quite feel right.
Which was
So
great, and
well
I'm
done,
pleased.
Priya.
Yeah, and I'm pleased that they
Eh?
showed that actually, like that message that of girls saying, "Actually, no, piss off. I don't want to have sex with you,
Yeah.
creep. Go away."
Mhm.
Didn't exactly get a great reaction because Mason then chucked her out of the car and drove off, leaving her like all
Mm.
bruised and bloodied, and just what a bastard, basically, like an awful human being.
Dragged her across the floor so her
Awful.
tights all got
Yeah,
ripped.
awful. Like
Cretin of a human being.
you will stay a virgin for the rest of your life, mate, if you carry on like
Mm.
that. Like, and if anything, I don't think you'll
Oh,
be.
did you think, is that what you think he is? I thought he just like went around doing this to schoolgirls, maybe.
Maybe. I mean, either way, he ain't gonna be doing it for a
But
long
yeah.
time. I have a feeling.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like Ravi probably broke his legs, and I don't
Do you
think
think
I've
we're
got
going
any
to see him
objections to
again,
that.
or do you think it's just that happened off screen and that's done with?
Yeah, I think
You
that might be done
reckon?
with that. I wouldn't be. I don't feel like there's any need because I feel like Avani's definitely learnt a lesson in terms of like, well, I'm not gonna do that
True.
again, and I don't think that he's gonna go anywhere near Avani again because she's got a very scary daddy with massive oak tree arms that broke his legs. So
That is
it's
true.
It feels unlikely that
You
we'll
think
see
it's
Mason
done?
again. I think it's done, but we'll see. We will
Unless
see.
he reports him to, oh, he can't report him to the police,
No,
though,
not
can he? Because
really.
then he
No,
has to, yeah, fair.
no,
Yeah,
because Ravi,
done then. That's
Ravi
done.
had Ravi's had his time with the police this week. I think he doesn't really want to see them again for a little while. Because my God. So Avani returns to the square after this altercation with Mason, right? All covered in cuts and bruises and looking like she's just been beaten up, basically. And they've been doing this thing where Avani and Barney have sort of been friends. I love Avani and Barney's relationship, by the way. I think it's so
Yeah,
sweet. Their
I
names
do
even
now.
rhyme.
Yeah.
Their names even rhyme. It's just
Bavani.
cute. Bavani. It's just cute, right? I love their relationship. And I wonder, actually, this is going in a bit of a Romeo and Juliet direction with those two.
Exactly. Montagues v Capulets,
Yes,
surely.
yes. I think so.
Surely that's exactly what this is
Can't
all
you tell
leading
we
to.
studied drama at university?
See,
We
it's
know
done
our
as well, Rob. It's
we know
done
our
as well.
Shakespeare. References like that, they don't go over our heads. We're like, yeah, that's Shakespeare, that is. Yeah, Shakespeare. We know our Shakespeare. Yes. But I do wonder if that's where it's going, actually. And I think that'd be quite interesting. Sort of these two warring families that can't stand each other. I mean, there hasn't been very much in the way of wanting them to be apart at the moment, has there? Like, I think like everyone's sort of aware that the two of them are friends.
Mm.
So even with everything else that went on this week, I don't think there's been a moment yet where they've turned around and said, "I don't want you seeing him anymore. I don't want you spending any time with her anymore." Have they?
No, that's
Yes.
true. Except for obviously the whole thing when they set fire to the
Yeah.
pest control thing.
Well,
But
they
then
said
Harry
set
and
fire to it or set a load of smoke machines off to just spray through the windows. One of the two.
yeah,
Wasn't really
but
fire, was it?
Harry and Teddy did say didn't want to send Barney to school and said we want you to stay
Mm,
away from the Panesars for a bit.
mm.
But I don't think they meant Varney
No,
specifically.
Ravi more probably than anybody else
Yeah, just
because
out of the firing line.
yeah, I mean, as much as you clearly approve of his actions in that regard, I feel like the message we were supposed to be getting was that Ravi went a bit mad this week, and my God, did he go a bit mad? He dangled Barney over the railway bridge.
I
Now,
mean,
I mean, there's ways and means of dealing with situations.
yeah,
I
there
feel like
are.
that maybe wasn't his best idea. Um, I mean, poor
You can
Barney
see
is all I
it
can
in the
say.
you can see it in the moment though, Ravi being overprotective. And I think he'd
There's
do the same if it was
overprotective.
Nugget who'd been injured or
Yes.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I don't think it's necessarily to do with it
No.
being a girl. He's just being
No, no, not at
overprotective
all.
of his kids
Of his
and
kids, yeah.
acted on
Oh, so good
impulse.
dad then, yeah?
The only thing I would have made sure is it's the right person before you go dangling someone off a bridge,
Yeah.
Ravi. I'm
I
not
mean,
condoning him. Right. Just to
she
clarify.
is. She absolutely loved it. She messaged me and thought Ree actually messaged me this week and
Go on
said, "Do you
then.
know
What did I
what?
say?
That's what I'm going to be like as a parent when I'm going to
Yeah,
dangle kids left, right, and
totally.
centre over
Yeah,
railway
yeah,
bridges.
yeah.
That's me all day long." Um, I mean, yeah, the whole sort of thinking that it was Barney. I'm not entirely. I mean, I get that they were sort of trying to deceive the parents into thinking that they were
They were
spending
seeing
time
each
together
other.
and so that it could only have been Barney. But at the same time, I feel like I would have struggled to believe that it was Barney at that moment. You know, the weirdo kid that as they keep calling him, who just sits and reads. He's hardly going to do that to somebody, is he? Really?
Ravi can be very impulsive like that though, can't he? He's
Ever so
very
slightly. Yeah.
angry as well. I can see how it all happened. I mean, really though, he should have just gone around to Teddy's, shouldn't he? And been
Yeah.
like, I think your kid might have done this, and then
Yeah. Can we
Teddy
have a
would have said,
conversation about this?
actually, he's covering for your daughter, mate.
Mm. However, what this did do, this mad act, is start to give us, I think, a little bit of a darker showing of Teddy, right? Which you have been theorizing for many, many weeks
Yes,
now. Yes. Now, let's talk about this. Teddy Mitchell,
yes.
where are we at? Are we going to get a bad guy out of this, or is he a good guy with just a little bit too much impulsiveness about his kids, like Ravi in that regard, right?
I love Teddy now because I've seen the real
You are
Teddy.
so awkward. I mean, yeah, I loved.
Yeah,
I'm
but I've seen the
fascinated by
real
it.
Teddy
I
now, so
agree.
now I feel like I know him more because
I
before
agree,
I didn't
but
know whether to trust him.
mm,
Now I'm like, right, it's okay. He does set a fire to shit. Sorry. But that's
yeah,
okay because that's him.
yeah, yeah.
That's him. That's
Now he's
okay.
on. Now he's being honest
Right.
with you. You're quite happy with him, right?
No,
And and he didn't wear that
genuinely.
jumper over his shoulder once this
And
week,
he's
did he?
stopped wearing that jumper, thank God. Well, he's obviously, we had scenes of him and Barney playing chess, you know,
I love
showing that
that.
he's a strategic player. And I thought it was quite nice because we saw that Harry gets some qualities from Teddy
Mm,
that aren't as strategic, and
mm.
Barney clearly gets those tendencies
There,
from Teddy as well.
yeah, there was one little aspect of this that I was a bit disappointed by. just the
Oh.
one. And that the chess scene I absolutely loved, all right, because that showed that and that conversation he had with Barney, where it's just like, yeah, I don't understand you sometimes, but you're perfect, you're my son, I love you, right? That's what I expect from Teddy, whether he is a bad guy or a good guy. And I feel like we had some clues this week. Actually, he might be a bad guy, which we'll come to in a moment with the whole Harry's girlfriend thing. We'll talk about that in a moment. Got
Oh.
a theory, got
Oh.
a theory, got a theory. But I loved that aspect of Teddy, and that's what I've come to expect from Teddy, that he's just cleverer like that. He's more mature like that. So I was kind of disappointed that he then tried to get Barney into self-defense classes and judo and do you know what I mean? Because I feel like that was more the sort of thing I'd expect from Phil in terms of like, well, obviously violence will solve your problems. And I
I
always thought that
think,
Teddy was a
yeah.
little bit better than that. You know, I always got the vibe off Teddy that he was more mind over muscle, you
Yeah,
know?
he is. I understand you saying that because I did think you've ended it
Mm.
with that, but actually I
Yeah,
thought
that
that
felt
was
like an
like a
odd.
proper. No, I thought that were quite a Mitchell thing to do. That's showing that he's still a
So,
Mitchell there.
right, so you think that that overarching "I'm a Mitchell" thing will always win over any
I
other
think he
sort of
want.
personalities traits, right?
I think he's trying to find the line, and he's like, yeah,
Mm.
okay, but also because obviously he had that conversation with Billy where Billy were like, "Do you want to be teaching him that violence is always the answer?"
But
And
this is the thing. I thought that came out of left field from Billy. I was sort of like, what is Billy reading out of that? Because
so
that had come just after the chess scene where they had been like, you can almost imagine that Teddy taught Barney how to play chess. You know, like they've had those
yeah,
moments together where it's not like Barney's ever made to feel like an outsider. This isn't a Ben situation, right? This isn't a story where you've got this kid who feels so out of place and constantly trying to make his father proud of him in the same way that Ben
mm,
always was. Like this is a kid who's been allowed to be who he is, right? Even Harry in like that little moment this week saying, "Have you got a girlfriend, boyfriend? I'm fine with that." You know, like that's never going to be an issue within those
yeah.
men's lives. So I kind of thought that the encouraging the violence side of thing was almost like a bit of a step back from what I've expected from these guys. You know?
But he wasn't encouraging violence. This is the thing, though, isn't it? It's like we say when we don't understand boxing,
Mm,
right? He's trying to do it in a way where it's not violent, almost self-defense.
mm,
Not trying to teach him how to box per se or punch.
mm.
Trying to teach him. I think he just wants him to have a mix of life skills, and maybe it's giving him a bit of a thing to go. Actually, maybe I haven't done enough of that side. He's trying to find the balance, I think, between.
Yeah,
You know what I
I get
mean?
it
Let's be
because.
honest though, right? He's already getting in like in the middle of stuff, Barney,
Mm,
despite the fact that he's not the kind of kid who's going to. So maybe he's just thinking, yeah, but you're getting a bit older now and you might get in the middle of
mm.
stuff. So maybe you need to learn a few of these other types of life skills. I understand what you're saying
No,
though.
I mean I get what you're saying because ultimately what Teddy's argument there is like, well, neither me or Harry would have found ourselves being dangled over that railway bridge, but you're not as muscly or you're not as good at
And
self-defense as we are, right?
he did try and talk his way out of it, which Ravi
It
just
really didn't
took
work.
completely
Really
wrong.
didn't. Yeah, that's
But
because
what did he say now?
he
You
kept trying
should
to pick
look
him up on his.
something up.
Yeah, literally, he's got him pinned up against the wall, and Barney's correcting his grammar. Like
Yeah,
it's not a genius
exactly.
idea, Barney. You didn't read enough books on how to deal with that kind of situation, did
Whereas
you?
if he'd had some self-defense classes, he
Yeah,
didn't need to necessarily punch Ravi, but he could have maybe escaped his grip a bit easier and
yeah,
run off in a different
yeah,
way.
yeah.
Maybe that's
So
his thinking. So, like I said, trying to find the balance, I think.
yes, so this kind of goes on. This war between the Mitchells and the Panesars has now been established because Teddy's answer to Barney being dangled over a railway bridge is to set fire to the call centre. Now, automatically, I'm going to say I'm delighted by this because that call centre has been pointless for ages now. Now it's
Yeah.
gone, so that's good.
Now we've got something else incoming, which is
Because
nice.
yeah, they had all of these not Mitchell, these Panesar businesses, and it was almost too much for the Panesars, I think, to because as the group of Panesars kind of started to shrink a little bit, it's sort of like, what are you doing with all these businesses then they're supposed to have everywhere?
Weren't it a front though, anyway? The
Oh, it was a rat
pest
catching
control to
business at one
start
point.
with.
Yeah,
I'm sure it was a front, and then they started doing it really so that it weren't just
yeah.
a really blatant front
I can't
almost.
remember.
And then I
I
don't know
can't
if they carried
remember.
on using it for a front.
Yeah, no, I can't remember. But I think now it's gone, and I'm glad that they've done that. It's sort of just like that's out of the way now. I feel like the Minute Mart is. I feel like the Minute Mart's not going to be really Panesar owned for that much longer because now they've got Alfie
Mm.
working there. I feel like they're taking the Minute Mart in a new direction now as well. So I'm intrigued to sort of see what happens with the Panesar family businesses after Nish is eventually like gone.
Oh, spoiler. Can we do a spoiler? Or should
Spoiler
we just wait
siren,
till the
spoiler siren, spoiler siren. Nina, Nina, Nina.
Nina
Go on.
Nina? We've seen some pictures leading up to Christmas of the Minute
Yes.
Mart Is this
It's been
related?
painted, hasn't it? It's been painted
Hmm.
or boarded up and painted.
That's
Yes, I do wonder. Nish's end approaches very, very soon, I should
is it
think.
going to be the
So
Mitchells?
one fight. Well, you reckon? I don't know. I mean, there's a lot that Nish has got to get sorted before he goes. Presumably, at some point, there's still little elements of the six storyline that they've got to sort of finish with Nish as well. I feel like his main confrontation ending is going to be with Suki, obviously, and I
It
think
needs to be really, doesn't
yeah,
it?
I don't think this whole thing with the Mitchells is going to be the ending for Nish. I feel like that would be almost a waste of all this build up that we've had with Nish and the Six and the Panesars. It would for the
Could be though.
Mitchells
It
just to
could
be the thing that ends it would be a bit
it
disappointing, I think.
it could be that the Mitchells do something. Suki finds Nish, and again, she don't call him an ambulance or something like that. Again, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. I feel like that's going to be a separate big thing over. It's Halloween soon, and the EastEnders does sometimes do a big Halloween, so I feel like that would be the perfect
Next
time, wouldn't
week.
it? Is it? Yes. Ooh, exciting. See what happens over the next couple of
Anyway,
weeks.
spoiler over.
Yeah, there we go. Nina, Nina, knee done. So yes, so they've set fire to the call center, and now it's just war on basically. As much as Suki and Nish have tried to sort of like steady the waters between them, Teddy clearly isn't that interested in like I know you've done it now. This is happening now. Whether you can be as reasonable as you like about it, but this is happening now.
But surely now it depends on whether the Panesars do anything in retaliation to the fire. Because if they just leave it, then it just done.
Yeah, but I feel
Or
like
Mitchell's going to carry on. Like,
well, I feel like
why?
the main motivation for them not retaliating to the fire was the fact that Ty was around, who is the cutest kid ever, by the way.
Okay,
He's
yeah, yeah.
adorable, right? Um, so I feel like that was Suki's very much her motivation. Like,
Mm.
okay, right, wars can stop for the moment. We've got a 2 year old in the
We've got a
house.
grandson around,
Let's just
okay?
chill out for a moment, everybody. But then once the kid's gone, I feel like it's like why start this if you're not going to continue it, right? And I feel like Mitchell's naturally have to be having a war with somebody at some point along the line. So I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. I'm trying to think what the Panesars are going to do in retaliation. Or more specifically, is it going to be Ravi and Vinny, do you think, are going to do something
Well, Vinny will try. Bless him.
and
Vinny will
fail?
try. Yeah,
But what can they
ultimately.
do there? It'd be the house or Barney again or something. I don't see what they could really do because it's not like
No.
they've got a bunch of businesses that they can go and attack. Garage is in, Harry's. He just works there. So what
Yeah.
would they actually do next? I don't
Well, it
know.
depends what happens
Go
when
on.
Mummy Mitchell turns up, right? Because Barney has been
Mm.
getting in touch with his mum, who we know is called Nicola, who we'll be seeing very soon. Um, and there's some other secret stuff going on there, right? So, like, Harry doesn't want him to be talking to his mum. Teddy doesn't want him to be talking to his mum. And when he's gone, he's left a note saying I'm off to visit mum. Bye, and has gone off to wherever she is for a couple of weeks. And
So, well,
presumably,
Barney thought that she were in Bali all this time, but they've said
yeah.
otherwise as well. Do you know what I think? The only thing I can think it's to do with is
Hmm.
that maybe she didn't, because it was like they've only just split up recently, a few months. That the mum didn't believe Harry didn't have anything to do with Shireen, and maybe she did think that he had
Hmm.
something to do with his ex-girlfriend. That's what I thought it was.
Yeah. I mean, let's talk about that now. We may as well sort of bring it up while we're
Oh
talking about
yeah,
this
and
Mitchell
that.
secret. All right. So the Penny
What's
and Hat,
happened with him, hasn't it,
a
this
lot
week?
has happened. Yeah, it's been a busy week for the new Mitchell boys.
Mm.
The whole thing with Harry and Penny, because obviously Penny is now intent on bringing Jack down, and Jack is intent on bringing Harry down completely separately. I would argue, like he's just decided he doesn't like Harry, so he's going to sort of try and do something about that. And Jack has managed to uncover this whole thing that Harry is suspected of murdering his ex-girlfriend. Now, I was really sort of like, oh, when that was revealed, right? I wasn't expecting
Yeah,
that.
same.
And I feel like my initial instinct was Teddy's got something to do with it, and he just hasn't told Harry.
Really? Oh,
I don't know why
interesting.
that came to my mind straight away because I was just like, well, Harry's this sort of big, brawny thug type, but I don't think that he's going around murdering ex-girlfriends. It doesn't seem that sort of thing. But then Teddy's always
No,
got this
definitely.
sort of weird undercurrent to him where it's sort of like
Oh,
we're
do
not
you
quite sure
think?
what to make of him. We can't quite focus on
Oh,
his character. So I wonder if he's got something to do with it. But then
interesting.
is there a connection between that and this whatever secret's going on with the mum?
Well, this is what I was thinking. Is it just that she didn't believe Harry and that she did think that he'd had something to do with his girlfriend disappearing? But then
Mm,
you're saying this right. If given Teddy's character and what we know of him, if he genuinely believed that Harry was innocent, wouldn't he make him stay there and ride it out and say, "You're not running away, boy. If you're innocent, there's no point in running away and leaving. So why would he make him leave?"
Unless he's running away from something and he
Well,
just has
that's
to
what
take
I'm
the boys with
saying.
him.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
what I mean. Now you've said that, is it
Yeah.
actually because he's running away?
Because it has been made quite apparent that they're running away from something, isn't it? Like, so.
And now we think it's that Harry's been suspected of killing Shireen.
Yeah.
Who they've
But
still
then
not found, apparently.
No, they've still not found her. And then meanwhile, what the hell is going on with the mum? And what secret are they trying to keep from her? And what secret are they keeping from Barney? Because Barney apparently doesn't know something that's gone on. So what is going on with these three? I'm very, very curious and interested by that. And I thought this was a really, really good week for all three of them, actually.
Yes.
I feel like I'm going to be honest. Up to now, I've been looking at Harry and thought you're literally just Keanu. Like this is that's all you are. And now there's sort of like a little bit of a more sort of interesting undertone than I think Keanu ever had. I'll be honest. So I'm
he
intrigued.
really hates the police, doesn't he, Harry?
He does, yes. I mean,
filth.
That's a Mitchell.
All filth. A lot of them.
Filth. I mean, that's a Mitchell thing through and through anyway, though, isn't it, right?
Yeah.
And this is the interesting thing. We said this a couple of weeks ago. I'm always intrigued when Mitchells are sort of, when do you stop being just a Mitchell and turn into a bad guy? Like, where is the line there?
Well, killing your ex-girlfriend.
I think so. I think that falls into falling into bad guy territory.
Yeah.
You turn from Phil to Archie. There's a difference.
I mean, the fire's pretty bad, to be fair.
It is pretty bad, but at the same time, doesn't surprise me with Mitchell.
I'll be right. It's just a Mitchell, so
yeah, it's just a Mitchell
thing.
Set
fire to an entire building.
Isn't that weird? Like they've managed to sort of create this family unit. Like however many they decide to throw at them, like there's always a line. So yeah, it's a Mitchell thing. That's fine. I don't hate you. You're not a bad guy. You're just a Mitchell. And it's like, when does that behaviour then turn into you've gone too far, even for a Mitchell? It's whatever is being hidden from Barney and ultimately us. I feel like we're going to discover it in the next couple of weeks, and we'll find out exactly who we're supposed to trust and who we're not supposed to trust. And I think it's all very much going to depend on Teddy, because I think we saw him very, very angry this week. Very, very sort of aggressive. Very, very sort of well prepared to start a war with pretty much anybody. So how far is Teddy Mitchell prepared to go, and what has he got to hide? Bring it on. Right then, ladies and gents, let's talk about the next story. Right, on to Cat, Alfie, and the little shit, as he's now being known these days. Tommy. I mean, wow. First and foremost, I want to say Jessie Wallace was amazing this week. I thought she gave such a great performance. So there was really subtle moments where you could just see sort of the history of Kat's life getting her to this point. I thought that was really, really done really, really well. So the last time that we really saw the Tommy and Kat storyline, he'd just punched Kat in the face. Yeah. And it seems that to kind of give the bruising time to go down, Kat's sort of been hiding away and sort of told everyone that she's got COVID and she's sort of not leaving the house. I don't think it just works, right? I mean, talk to me about what you thought about this storyline this week, Reeve, because I thought that actually this was really, really strong, really, really well done. And I thought actually this, if you think about it, this hasn't just happened overnight. This has actually been in the pipeline for well over a year now, that Tommy's been angry and violent and...
Yeah. Well, if I'm honest with you, right, I agree with you. Jessie Wallace, great performance. Kat Slater, on the other hand, right?
Frustrating.
Yeah. See, I do understand, and I don't understand. At what point does she say, I'm putting Tommy above the twins who is hurting? Because everyone else around her is making this very clear distinction of, he's hurting the twins now. This is way too...
That's the point.
You're talking about the line between being a Mitchell and a bad boy, right?
Yes.
Right? Kind of
Beat
the
your
same.
mum up, that's fine. Beat the twins up, means you're a bad guy now.
Well,
yeah.
But it is... And obviously... Before they even found out that he were hurting the twins, they watched him deliberately burn Freddie. Yeah, just because he's doing it to adults. If anything, I would be like, if he's doing it to adults, he's probably doing it to the kids as well anyway. He's not even trying to hide it anymore.
No, he's just doing it openly because what are you going to do about it?
Yeah. So I've not really understood Kat's perspective. I have in a way, because obviously it's still a kid, it's still a baby and all of that.
Yeah.
But also, surely Kat's got a line with Tommy where she has to go, no. But I did
Well,
see these dot comparisons of he's a good boy deep down,
it's
he's a
so
good
mad.
boy, my Tommy.
It's so mad to me to be at any point in her life comparing Cat to Dot.
But right.
Yeah, I get it though. I get what you mean. I know what you're saying, but I kind of think that it's literally just denial at this point because I feel like
Mm,
admitting that you are in any form of domestically violent relationship is the hardest part to do, right? And that it doesn't just have to be a partner, that can be anybody in your immediate household, right?
mm,
Especially, I don't think that violence between son and mother is something that you immediately kind of think of in terms of domestic violence. It's not something that I
true.
think is easy to sort of admit is happening to you, right? Because when you've got a kid like Tommy who is going through his teenage years and he seems to just have hormones flying around like missiles, um, it's sort of I feel like it's difficult for you to admit it because I think what you also have to go through at that moment is sort of like, well, what have I done to get him to that stage? Because it's not just watching it from like like Stacey and Jean were watching it from their perspective as sort of like it's not their kid. Kat's having these moments where she's sat there going, "This must be my fault," and blaming herself for absolutely everything. And so it sort of absolves Tommy of all blame from her perspective.
But I get that like with her it's almost well it's only me who's doing it too, so I'm not that bothered and she doesn't
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
admit
yeah.
it's domestic violence. But this is what I'm still struggling to see. Why does she not see where the line's been crossed with the boys and
Mm,
I need to protect my two younger boys from him because
yeah,
actually he's got no problem in burning people now. Like that's pretty extreme.
yeah.
Been bruising it. What's he been doing to get him them bruises? Do you know what
I
I
mean,
mean?
just beating them up. Yeah.
Is she still on this whole oh it's just boys will be boys kind of thing? Actually, those two twins are like so sweet, so they're clearly
Mm,
not being
yeah.
part of it themselves. I don't know. I were a bit disappointed in Kat, but also trying not to be like
Yeah,
blame it.
I kind of I get the frustration, but I get it because it's sort of like because she's making excuses for it. She's saying like, well, they're three boys. You know what I mean? Boys fight when they're growing up. That's the thing. And she even said this week, you should have seen the bruises I used to get from my sisters. So it is a kid thing that you will have these sorts of fights, and that's how she's sort of reasoning it in her
Justifying
head.
it.
Yeah, she's sort of, but at the same time, she cannot deny that she's terrified of him. And actually, everybody in that house is now terrified of him. The boys are terrified of him. I think Alfie is terrified of him as well. He's
Hmm.
not admitting that, but I think he is absolutely terrified of his own son. They all are terrified of him because he is now this violent, aggressive, angry kid who I am struggling to see how he comes back from this in terms of his character. I feel like we're not going to have a kid now who is able to sort himself out and then be a nice kid again. I think he's gone too far for that now, hasn't he?
I agree, but then I'm skipping ahead a little bit here. Obviously, he's going to go stay with Zach. Is he going
Yeah.
to talk reason into him somehow, or do you think he's going to have similar struggles? Because he's going to have a job on trying to hit him.
Yeah, I mean, Zach isn't exactly yeah, he's had a bit of experience with fostering, but this is going to be something that he has got to deal with directly. It's not going to be the easiest thing to deal with. It's not like Tommy is going to be capable, I don't think, at this stage of just controlling his anger just because he's not living with Cat and Alfie anymore.
I know, I just wondered if they've deliberately paired him with Zach because he might see him as a bit of a cooler guy. He's a bit younger. He helps out at the boxing den a lot. So he has got a
Muscly,
bit of
yeah.
experience with that. I don't know. I'm just wondering. I can't understand. Like, is it going to be that he's got something seriously wrong with him, Tommy, and
Mm.
that's why he's behaving like this? Or is this just him as a person? I can't decide where
Well,
they're
this is
taking it, if you know what I mean.
yeah, I mean, this is the thing. I'm struggling to sort of pin what has turned Tommy into this. Like, he isn't a kid. Yeah, he's had, a soap life, but I don't think that you could pin any specifically traumatic event on him that would make sense for him to be this angry at everything in his life at the
Mm.
moment, right? I keep bringing Ben
Yeah,
up as
no,
an
I
example,
can't
but I
think.
think, but I think
No,
Ben is the
I know what
perfect
you're
sort of
saying. Yeah.
character to sort of bring that example out of. Like Ben makes
Mm.
sense because of what he's gone through in his life, but there hasn't been that stuff with Tommy. Like everybody likes to bring up the fact that well he was swapped as a baby. Yeah, that was as a baby. Like nobody remembers anything that happened when they were a baby.
Well,
It's
things can affect you as a baby, to be fair, with the bonding and all of that. But I agree. I don't think it is anything to do with that personally. The only thing Kat mentioned, I think, this week was that she saw the change in him when he found out that Alfie wasn't his real dad.
Mm.
So is he just still clinging on to that and got a lot of anger and resentment about that?
Yeah,
Because
I
it is
mean, is
quite a
he?
big thing to be told as a kid that
It
you're not who
is.
you think you are, essentially.
But is that it? Is that like he's just confused about his own identity and he's just blaming his so-called parents for that confusion and that's why he's so angry? But then that doesn't explain why he's then attacking the twins and why he's
Mm.
why he's stealing and why he's doing everything that he's doing, burning Freddie. Like what the hell? Like that
He
none of that
plays
explains
it.
that.
This whole incel stuff that you thought might start going on with Denzel and Nugget. Is it this?
Mm,
Because we're still seeing, I think it's just a laddish thing that he's just playing his video games and stuff. But is it that he's
yeah.
been influenced on there somehow? Because I know that there's a little subculture on there of boys not being
I
necessarily
don't
great.
think I think
Nah,
this is literally just an angry and
an angry
he's just an
teenager.
angry teenager. Like I was sort of trying to sort of make comparisons for this, and I was sort of reminded of Demon David in Corrie, a few years back when he was, pushing Gail down the stairs. But even that, I think you can look back over David's life and think of moments,
Yeah,
like being driven into a river or sort of that sort
yeah,
of, that crazy
exactly.
stuff. You can sort of explain David's character from stuff that's happened to him in his life. Again, with Tommy, I feel like there is maybe the people that were in his life have been more impactful than actual events. So you've got the likes of Phil, you've got the likes of. I mean, I don't think Kat's been a bad mother, really. Yes, she's made mistakes
No.
like any woman has, like in being a mother. Do you know what I mean? But it's it's not anything that you can necessarily pin down and go, yeah, that's why Tommy is so angry. He is, and I think that's why, as well, Kat is able to, in her head, defend him because she can't think of any reason why he's like this. So it must be her fault, you know?
No, I agree. Yeah, I agree. It's there isn't anything that. I mean, actually, weren't he going to be a footballer? And then
Yeah.
he got caught. I mean, the fire could have been quite traumatic with Janine, if you remember that. And then he
Yeah.
had to stop all his footballer dreams. Is a mixture of that and everything else? I don't know. I'm trying to,
Oh.
but that would be quite frustrating if you thought you had this career as a footballer and now you can't do it because you had an accident.
I mean, same.
Something to do with that.
I could have been a footballer. I'm furious that I'm not.
Well, that's a whole other story, Rob, isn't
I
it?
know.
That.
I know. Uh,
But
but
I'm trying to think of the
yeah,
little
I mean,
things along the way.
but I think that actually that's half the fascination of the story actually because and I don't think we're saying this a lot like so we're not getting why Tommy's so angry but I don't actually think that that's a criticism of the storyline. I think that that's actually just who Tommy is turning into. You could maybe
Yeah.
argue that they're bringing a bit of a Michael Moon influence into Tommy, but again I don't think that, to be perfectly honest with you, I don't think Michael even would have approved of anything that Tommy's doing at the moment because Michael was a lot more sinister in terms of mind manipulation. He was never
Yes.
an
You were a
ultra
bit more Teddy, but even
yeah,
more
yeah, but
extreme kind of
if
thing.
if
Yeah.
Teddy was a really, really, really bad guy, that yeah, Michael is where you cross the line. That's that's the difference.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah,
that's the line.
that's the
Oh, I
line.
loved Michael Moon though.
I
I'd
know
love to
he's a
see
great
Tommy
character.
turning into a little Mike. He's
Great
one of my
character.
favourite EastEnders villains, like
I know
by
he is.
far,
I
Michael
know he
Moon.
is. I know he is.
So if we go down that
Um,
line, bring it on. I
but
mean,
again,
obviously
no,
not for
but
everyone
like,
else involved. No, because you
no,
can't imagine.
wasn't.
Actually, though, okay? Let's imagine what Michael Moon would have been like as a teenager.
Dark,
Would he have behaved
brooding.
this way?
I
Possibly
feel
with
like
younger kids.
possibly, but I feel yeah, Michael Moon would have been the sort to maybe hold the odd magnifying glass over a butterfly or something like that and burn it to death. But I feel
Oh,
like
I think he would have done what Tommy's done, but he would have hidden it better.
done it better and more subtly,
He
I
wouldn't be
think.
more
Yeah.
blatant
More
about it.
sinister
Yeah.
and cleverer with it,
Mm,
more less brawn, more mind again. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I think the boxing has had a big influence on him because there was an interesting moment in the boxing den where he was sort of looking through the like looking into the ring and watching these two lads having a box. And it was before the argument he had with Alfie, and he was just like, "Yeah, they're crap at that. Yeah, they're rubbish at that." And it's like he's basing his whole attitude as to what people is basing his whole respect on how good they are at fighting. So clearly, violence is now a very big thing in Tommy's head. So
Which sounds a bit like Phil's influence,
it does
doesn't it,
sound
when you're
like Phil's
saying it?
influence, but it's interesting. I think that we haven't had that much interaction with Phil and Tommy recently.
No.
And is it just that he's missing Phil that much that he's become attracted in a way to Phil's way of life that he's acting out that way? Is like he thinks that this is going to make Phil proud and make Phil want to adopt him or something? Like it's
Oh God. Oh, maybe. Nah.
Oedipus
Surely
complex. I
not.
don't know. I don't know what's happening. I really don't. But it's fascinating to watch. I think all performances in this were fantastic. Yeah, yes, Jesse Wallace was amazing. I mean, Sonny Kendall's doing amazing with this. I mean, I can't stand Tommy at the moment. I loathe him, and
Actually, yeah. Yeah, he
that's
really
strength of
is.
that's the strength of performance because he is
Mm.
actually very intimidating and he's very sort of you can tell he's scary and you can sort of see the anger in his eye. He's doing that very, very well. I thought Shane Ritchie had a fantastic week this week as
Yeah,
well.
he did actually, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I've liked
and
seeing this Alfie. I'm liking Alfie
this,
again now.
yeah, this is the Alfie that I think we need more. We've needed more. I think they've
Mm.
really rightened Alfie as a character. I think this really works for Alfie in this vein. Um,
What did you think to Jean, by the way? Do you think
I
that she
got
were out
yeah,
of order for calling
no, not in the
social
slightest,
services or
not in the
not?
slightest. No, did you?
No.
No,
No. No.
I thought she was
I think
absolutely right, and I thought it was really interesting that she was comparing the Tommy situation to the Sean situation. I thought that was quite a good comparison to make because yes, Sean was a nutter at Tommy's age, and you can sort of see how she would make that connection. Say it's
maybe
happening
it's the
again.
Slater genes. Maybe it's the Slater genes,
It's
you
the
know.
Slater
They
gene. It's
have
the
got
Slater man
it.
thing. Charlie was never like this.
No, Charlie was the exception.
Yeah, mind you, Charlie could get violent when he wanted to. Um, yeah, so Jean rings the social services, and the social services arrive after it's all been revealed that about. I mean, I'm assuming Jean told them absolutely everything about what happened with Freddie, about the bruises on the boys, and the social services turn up and they decide that for the safety of the twins, Tommy has to leave the house. I was a bit confused as to would they really just let him move in next door? Was that right? Is that how that would work?
I don't see why not if he's with an approved
Is
foster
that all?
carer
Yeah,
and
is
he's not
that
going to be
okay?
in the house, as long as they've
Yeah.
got rules of like if he's ever maybe he's not allowed to visit the twins, or it'll be a case of you must be in the room at all times if he's with the
Mm,
twins. I don't know. But it's
mm.
not like he's in the same building. Well, he's in the same building.
Yes,
Well, you know what I
essentially, yeah.
mean?
They're a brick
The same
apart.
house as him.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I liked that. I mean, again, I always like praise community moments. I loved the moment where Bianca was like, "Oh, I'll take him." And I want to say this
Yeah.
about Bianca is that actually that moment was why I love Bianca. Yes, Bianca is known for the screaming and the fighting and the Ricky and all that kind of stuff, but actually that's the character traits that I adore so much in Bianca and why she works so well as a character. Because her thinking at that exact moment where Cat's my mate, oh yeah, no, well fine, that's my job now. I'll take Tommy in and just strolled along quite calmly. Yeah, no, I'll take it. Screwed it up immediately by accidentally revealing everything that was going on with Sonia. But I loved that she was just without a second thought went, "No, I'll take him in then." Yeah, that's my
Well,
job
she would
right
have
now.
had the situation been
Yeah,
different that she could take him in. There was no shadow of a
no,
doubt that she would have just
not
took
at
him
all.
straight away.
She didn't think about it for a second.
No.
Frankly, I would love to have seen Tommy deal with Bianca, try that
Yeah.
stuff with Bianca. That would
Yeah.
have been interesting to see. Um,
Mm.
and Bianca just gets that, and I think that's why I love Bianca is because she knows about family issues and she sees family issues. She doesn't judge those sorts of family issues whatsoever. She's just like, yeah, no, and we're all in this together.
Bianca would probably be a great foster mum or
She probably
youth
would.
worker, actually. She's really,
Yeah,
like, if she sees a kid in need, she's always there, isn't she, bless
yeah,
her?
yeah.
Mm.
Brief talk about Bianca actually. They we just went to the doctors this week, and it seems that ADHD is where they're going with it with Bianca. By the
Yeah,
way,
it does look like it, yeah. I think that
interesting.
was last week. That was
Might have
last
been
week,
last week,
Rob, yeah.
yeah. But yeah,
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting that does
Mm.
seem to be where they're going with it. But
There's still time for it to be all linked to other things as
mm,
well, though, yeah.
yeah,
So
I do wonder how long we've got Bianca for, mind. Like she
yeah,
doesn't seem to
I'm
be any
here for
sign that.
it.
Yeah, I know. I'm keep her
Keep
around for
her.
as long as you like. Yeah, but I'm sort of
I
like,
love that. I love that they've used Freddie though to start helping her with the campaign
mm,
because one of the traits of ADHD is that you feel very
but
strongly about justice. So she's clearly
yeah,
talked him into it, and he's like, "Yeah, you're right, Bianca. She's
yeah,
innocent. Let's do something about it. I'm going to
yeah,
help you out." I love that. I love that they've
yeah.
done that in it somehow. Yeah,
But yeah, no,
brilliant.
Bianca got massive points for me this week just for that small little scene with Kat. Loved that. I thought it was beautiful.
Yeah.
And even Zach stepping forward, like that's great. Yeah, like Zach
And that
just
was
stepped up
probably because of
immediately.
Bianca that Zach stepped forward.
Yeah,
She probably suggested it, didn't she? Because he did say,
yeah,
"Oh, Bianca told me about your situation." So brilliant, nice one,
yeah.
Bianca.
Loved it. Yeah, that was really, really strong. But yeah, Tommy is now next door. Alfie knows that Jean rang social services. Kat at this moment does not.
Yes.
That's going to explode when that comes out eventually because Alfie knows about it. That's not going to be great. And at this particular moment in time, I don't think that it was necessarily a thing that is going to be going on for long. But at the moment, Kat's chucked Alfie out the house. And I feel like once she's calmed down, she'll be like, sorry about that. Yeah, come back in.
Yeah, but as she said it, but I got the impression that she was like, "I don't want to see you right now," because it is actually Alfie's flat, so she can't really kick him out
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
unless she has.
I bet she has. Yeah, I mean, it's.
Because Kat were a bit out of order as well, like, because Stacey obviously said, I don't want to take Tommy. And it's like, of course she doesn't. She's got loads of kids there. And
Oh yeah,
Tommy's
no, I
looking at
got.
his little brothers.
Yeah, I got that, but at the same time, I know you've seen this frustration in Cat. I kind of got
Yeah,
all of. I
yeah,
kind of
you're seeing
understood.
Kat's
I
perspective.
totally got it. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. She, like, of course, she was out of order, but at the same time, I was sort of just like, yeah, no, I get it. Of course, you're angry, and I don't believe for a second that Kat would have taken any of Stacey's kids in if the shoe was on the other foot at that moment, because she'd have gone, no, my twins might get hurt, and like now where she's like, no, Tommy should stay, even though my twins might get hurt. Like, this is a strange sort of.
Yeah, the only other solution I thought they could have done was that the twins went and stayed with Stacey. But obviously,
Mm,
two kids is more than one. But I don't know, that could have been another solution to it. And then Tommy could have stayed with Kat and Alfie, but
yeah.
maybe he's not allowed because he's been hitting Kat. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think the idea is just to get Tommy away from his immediate family because he's hurting all of
Mm,
them. And this is the thing: it's not. This isn't just Kat that this is happening to. Alfie's been attacked by him. The boys have now been attacked by
true.
him. Kat's been attacked by him. He'll probably have a go at Zach at some point while he's living with him. So that's going to sort of be interesting to sort of see how that plays out. I think Zach is the right sort of person for Tommy to be living with at the moment, because I feel like Zach is the sort of bloke who will say, yeah, okay, yeah, so you're into your boxing, but let's do this in a healthy way, yeah, rather than someone like Phil who's sort of like, yeah, punch what you like, that's fine, yeah, punch that guy, yeah, you get your anger out, it's all good, man, 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 lads, lads, lads. Where Zach will
Yeah.
try and make him do it more healthily and sort of channel
Zach's a
his
bit more in
anger.
touch with his emotions
He
than somebody
is.
like Phil, isn't he?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
completely. But yeah, I thought this was really, really, really strong, this storyline. I think it's been, I thought,
Hmm.
like I say, I thought Jesse Wallace was phenomenal throughout the entire thing, because I feel there was a few moments where you sort of, when she was looking at her bruises in the mirror, there was moments this week with Kat looking in the mirror where you thought those shots are going to be used in a montage of Kat's story at some point, because it feels like this is a big moment in Kat's life.
Mm.
And I feel like it's fascinating that she sort of like looks back on abuse that she has suffered in the past, said that, there's been men in my life that have scared me and threatened me, and I've never been more scared of them than I am of Tommy right now. And that's a big thing for her to kind of say, I think, when you think of what Kat's gone through in her life. It's
Definitely.
it's really, really interesting. So yeah, bring it on. Long way to go for them though, I think. And I do think that this whole thing with Tommy is, I don't know how he fixes himself from this point onwards. I really don't. I think this might just be who Tommy is from here on
The
in.
new Tommy Moon.
Yeah, I think so. Dark side of the
Hmm.
moon. Oh yes. Gold star this week, Ree. Who are you giving it to?
I'm giving it to Barney this week, Rob.
Oh, very nice. Yes, very, very nice. I think I've just got
Big
to give
fan of
mine.
Barney this week.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think I'm just going to have to give mine to Kat, because I thought she was excellent. I get the frustration in some of their motivations, but I
But
thought
I understand. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and
I
the
get it.
performance was just excellent. Right, ladies and gents, final section of the podcast, as usual, is comments from you. Before we read this week's comments out, there is some interesting stuff going on Twitter. Christopher McGill, who is a very good director, who has directed quite a lot of big weeks in EastEnders, is back at the moment directing what appears to be the New Year's episodes. And he's making a very big thing about the week's episode that he is directing. He's done a load of tweets right from the first one, where he's gone first week complete of an epic New Year's block for EastEnders, and then he's been posting lots of different pictures, all very sort of blurred, or it's not giving anything away necessarily, but some of the
But they're all
hashtags,
clues.
they might be clues, they might just be intrigue. It's certainly working, because he's doing a lot of little hashtags with them, and I think a couple have really sort of grabbed people's imaginations and made them think, especially for me, because one of the ones that he did is day 9 filming on EastEnders New Year's episodes, hashtag EastEnders, hashtag drama, hashtag train. Now, bear in mind the conversation that we had a couple of weeks ago where we were talking about things we'd love to see. That
Yes.
automatically made me think, oh my God, there's going to be a train crash. A train's going to go flying off the Vic. Now, I don't think that he would be allowed to make quite as blatant a clue as that, as to say hashtag train, which means there's going to be a train crash, because very much the next day, he said day 10 of BBC EastEnders New Year's episodes, hashtag EastEnders, hashtag plane. Now, obviously, that means there's going to be a train crash, and then unfortunately, also a plane's going to land on the wreckage as well. That's clearly
You
what's going to
know.
happen. Yeah, hey, happened in Emmerdale.
I know what you're saying, because it is a bit too obvious with train, but maybe that's why it's hashtag playing after, so it can be like, oh, come on, it's nothing to do with it.
Yeah,
Why hashtag them though? What's it got
I
to do
know.
with
What's
it?
the significance?
But
What
we
is
have
going on
seen
New
the
Year's?
We have seen the train tracks this week, though,
We
Rob,
have.
which
They've
is
brought them back just for that, have
which is
they?
what made me go,
There
Is
was
that to remind us that the
also,
train tracks are there?
well, maybe, but there was also a very, very small thing this week, where the news board outside the Minute Mart.
Yeah.
It said on the Minute Mart's news board, Christmas train strikes worry or something like that. So something about Christmas and train strikes
Oh.
happening. So something might happen on a train at some point around Christmas, New
Or
Year,
tracks of the
or
train at
tracks of the
least while
train,
the strikes
something
are
might
on.
happen. I mean, none of this is spoilery stuff because we don't know, is all honesty. It's just sort
No.
of nice to have this sort of intrigue, sort of, because obviously last year, we had the build up of the six storyline. We knew exactly what was coming. We don't actually really know what's going on this year for Christmas or New Year. And New Year, it sounds, is going to be a whopper. So
Mm.
I'm very intrigued to sort of see what's going on. I am also kind of intrigued by whether, and this is going to be a controversial thing, I don't know if we're having a Christmas Day episode of EastEnders this year because the BBC has got a packed schedule for this year's Christmas. They've got a new Wallace and Gromit film. They've got new Gavin and Stacey. They've got
Evidence says, yeah.
yeah, they've got Doctor Who. They've got a lot to cram into their schedule on Christmas Day, more so than they've had for a good few years. So I'm sort of curious as to where EastEnders is going to fit within the schedule for Christmas Day. It would be
Rob,
sacrilege
don't
to see.
start spreading
Oh, I
this
know.
kind of fake news that we're not going to have a
I
Christmas
know.
Day
It would be
episode. Come on. Of
sacrilege, and
course
it's
we
not like.
are.
And
Of
last
course we're
year,
having one.
of course, we're having one. And last year, the Christmas Day episode rated absolutely fantastically. So it's not like they're
But
going to think,
also,
oh,
why are we not seeing anything to do with Christmas Day and New Year's Day? Is it just this
I mean,
director?
he's made a big thing of. I mean, he's clearly allowed to
Hmm.
do this, but he's made a big thing
Yeah.
of New Year. So let's get excited because apparently the Christmas period going into New Year is going to be huge, and obviously New Year is only a month away from the anniversary. So something big is
Oh,
coming
yeah.
at some point very, very soon. So let's get excited about that. But Christopher McGill, I am loving your intrigue. And I'll tell you what, he's a good director. He's some very stylish pictures that he's posting. They're very good.
He
Very,
has,
very
yeah.
good. Yeah.
Oh, I
My
saw somebody. Have you seen the picture with the trainers? Somebody said that's Fat Boy coming back with the trainers.
he's the
And
only
then there's
character that's
like,
ever worn trainers throughout the entirety of EastEnders.
yeah, and I don't know how anyone's seen this because I was staring at it, but on the same picture, there's like some shadows with the lighting.
Oh,
Someone says it spells Max, and I can't see where it says Max at all. I
wow.
personally can't see where it says Max, but somebody's been like, it spells Max out in the shadows. And I'm like, I
There
don't know,
are
but
there is no fan base more than EastEnders who can look at one image and create entire storylines out of their
yeah,
imagination from one image.
literally.
Honestly,
Yeah.
nobody, I don't know another fan base that does it like we do.
That's it. Fat Boy and Max are going to come back together, aren't they?
There you go.
That's what it is, Rob.
Yeah, and then a plane's going to crash on top of them. That's what's going to happen. So there we go. Look forward to that. So on to comments this week, Reed. We have had an email.
Yes, we've had an email from Robert Ryan who says, a fun question for the pod. This week, Avani didn't know what the band 5 was. I wondered when there was one time you felt old. For me, it was when the girl in their early 20s at work didn't know what the VCR was. I used it so much growing up. Well, have you got one of these?
Well, I tell you, do you know what? It's things like I often get there's a guy at work who's always taking the mickey out of me for being in my mid to late 30s. It's 36. I'm 37 now after
How
my
old are you,
birthday.
sorry?
I'm 37. Is that late 30s? That's late 30s now, isn't it?
That's late 30s, yeah. You can't
Oh,
even say mid anymore. You're late
uh,
30s, mate.
I hate it. I absolutely hate it. And I've had many conversations with him where I've turned around and said things like DMing and Facebook messaging. It's like, who uses Facebook messages? Like, it's all about Instagram messaging. It's like, who talks on Instagram? Is that a thing? Like, do people genuinely have long conversations on Instagram?
They must do. Oh,
They
that is
must do.
weird, isn't it?
People don't
It's all
email
in the
anymore,
same
mate.
app. You
That's
don't
not
even
a
have a
thing.
separate app for
I know.
Instagram messages.
I
That's
know.
crazy.
And
Interesting.
he had never heard of Lily Savage. Never drag queen. Like Paul. I mean,
I
this is a
do know.
very. This is a very.
I'm not
No.
that young, Rob. I know you
This
think I'm
is.
really young.
No, but let me explain for international listeners who probably don't know who
Yeah.
Lily Savage is. It's a very famous drag queen in the
Yeah.
in the 90s, especially, but very, very famous. Sort of was one of the main drag thing, like bringing
One of the
drag
main
to
people
pro.
on TV in the
Yeah,
90s, Blank
Paula
to Blank,
Grady.
was
Yeah, it
huge.
was huge, and like it's just a genius stand-up comedian. Like Paula Grady was a
Mm.
phenomenal comedian, greatly missed. He died. He died a couple of years ago now, I think. And he was just a fantastic drag performer. But he'd never heard of
Mm.
him, and I was heard of the drag queen. I was sort of like, "What are you talking about? That's within your life. That's clearly just your cultural knowledge lacking, surely. It was like, no, I've never heard of Lily Savage. Was he on Drag Race? No, he was not. Ugh,
Invented
anyway,
drag riding, but
yeah,
you
well,
know.
no.
But
But
you know
what's
what I
your
did
old moment?
find? Oh well, sorry, I was just going to say I found it odd that Priya was a Richie Neville fan out of all of the band members of Five, because
Oh,
I would have
really?
had her down as an Abs kind of girl. Yeah, he
Oh,
was the
Abs
like
was
bad
nice.
boy of the group.
Abs. I think he did
Yeah.
Celebrity Big Brother at one point, and he was very fit
Oh,
in
did it?
that.
Oh, that's
Yeah, I
right.
think so. Yeah, that's how I know him.
Yeah.
What was your I
Um,
feel old moment? Having a
I've
kid?
had a few, but well, gosh, she'll think I'm ancient.
No, God,
No,
yeah.
one of them was when I were at work and somebody were complaining about the internet, and I said, "Have you tried turning the router on and off?" And like, talking about the router. And they're like, "What's a router?" And I was like,
It's
"What do you
sickening,
mean?
isn't it?
What's a router? Like, what's the like a modem?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "What's that?" I'm like, so then I'm like, "Where do you think Wi-Fi comes from?"
Yeah.
Like, they're like, "Oh, it's just there. You just connect to it." I'm like, it comes from a little machine, and they just couldn't understand what I
See,
was saying
what
because they
is the
had no
difference?
idea.
What is the difference between just lack of knowledge and just being younger and older? I feel like there's a fine line between the two, surely.
I'm trying to think of the equivalent when we were younger. Maybe it'd be like, you had to have this little satellite cable into your TV. Is it a
Mm.
bit like that, that maybe we might not have known that when we were younger and we just took
Yeah.
TV for
It's
granted?
like when
But
people don't know
still, where
what.
does
Yeah.
internet come from? It's not just there, is
I know.
it?
It's like we weren't. It's like people don't know what video cassettes are or tape cassettes or anything like that. It's like you could
Well,
hold
that's
one
what
up
the
and
email said, that they didn't know
yeah,
what a VCR was.
crazy, absolutely crazy. It's not that we're old,
Well,
Robert. It's
yeah.
the fact that people are just thick. That's all
They're
it is.
just
Don't you worry about
ignorant. They're
that.
just
Ignorance and thick.
ignorant.
That's all it is. That's all it is, Robert. You're not old at all. You're as young as I am.
Yeah.
Right. So on to comments now. Louise
To the
Clare says,
comments.
on to the comments. Louise Clare has said, I loved it. Back to a good old few, talking about the Mitchell and Panesar episodes. I wonder how long Nish will be around to scheme against the enemies. Shame, as I think this storyline has a lot of mileage. It's interesting with the Nish stuff because I've got to be honest, I do kind of feel that Nish is ready to go. And I don't mean that in terms of I'm bored of Nish, but I feel like there's how much more can they possibly do with Nish as a character? Like how much longer can he torment and be forgiven by the Panesars? Like you get to a point where it's just
Exactly.
like when Vinny was sort of sat with him this week, it's like he tried to kill you like 2 weeks ago. What are you
I
doing?
literally was thinking that it were
Yeah.
angering me a bit this week that they kind of sat next to him
Mm.
normally and that everything's okay again.
Yeah.
I agree. How much longer can you keep forgiving him for stuff?
But then they have that moment where like Nish is fully prepared to go to war with the Mitchells, and it's sort of like, yeah, that's when Nish is at his best. I think it's
And he did say we need to bide our time, so I
mm,
think he has got a big plan actually to come back
yeah,
at him with.
yeah,
He's
maybe,
tried to be reasonable with Teddy, or maybe that were just to keep up appearances, and he had no
yeah,
intention. Even if Teddy had said, "Yeah, let's call it quits," he would have been like, "Yeah, well, I'm not going to." You
mm,
think we've called it quits, but
mm,
really, I've got
yeah.
something up my sleeve.
I mean, I do think that Nish is a phenomenal character. I really do. I think he's been a
Yeah.
fantastic villain. But with the whole, as far as the Panesar stuff is concerned, I don't think that he's got. How much more can he do? What more could he possibly do? He's already had Eve's mum attacked. Like
I
that's
was just
crazy.
gonna say,
Yeah, that happened in the week we were away, and it's sort of like that's
yeah,
mad. But how much more could you possibly do? You've already tried to have her murdered. You've basically tried to kill every single member of your family at some point. There has to be a point where it's just like Nish's time is done. He finally reaches his
mm.
conclusion, and I have a feeling that that's going to be very, very soon.
Got one from 13LVA on Instagram who says, Avani and Barney, Mitchell Panesars, two households both alike in dignity in Fair Walford, where we lay our scene. I love it. It's Romeo and Juliet.
Oh,
Yeah.
they did our same drama course.
It's paid off, hasn't
Paid
it?
off, yeah. Don't you feel you're going far in life now? Yeah, yeah, just like me and Redo. Yeah, I mean, yeah,
But yeah, yeah,
it's going in that direction, isn't it? I love Barney and Barney. I think they're so cute together. I love the friendship that's developing between them. I thought at first it was going in a bit of a Bradley and Stacey type direction, where you've got these two
yeah.
kids that are just could not be more like different from
Dissimilar.
one another. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you. Dissimilar from one another, but actually, I like the fact that Barney's fully prepared to sort of sit and play his games and sort of talk to
Yeah.
Barney about anything. I think it's very, very sweet. Barney does clearly fancy her, right? But I think that's quite obvious at
Yeah,
this
I think
stage.
he does
100%.
now. At
Yeah.
first he didn't, but yeah, I think so,
No.
definitely.
Yeah. And I'm fully on board the Barney and Avani ship. I don't even think they need a name together. I think the Barney and Avani thing works fine because it
Yeah,
rhymes.
true.
Lovely.
But I do like Bhavani as well, but so if we do need one, we've got one.
We've got one if we need one. Lauren Charles has said, this was an excellent episode. Poor Barney and Avani. See, it works. But excellent start of the rivalry between the Panesars and the Mitchells. I was shooketh by just how violent Tommy turned at the end of the story. It was quite frightening. I think the storyline has been played out very well. Yeah, it's I really do agree. I think everybody absolutely knocked it out of the park with regards to that story. And how much further does it go? Like, now the sort of truth is out about it, and the extent of his violence has sort of been really revealed. How much more can he do?
Do you think he might go a bit? He might just go all out on the square. He's not trying to hide it, is he? Do you think he's just going to go on a bit of a rampage or something?
Yeah, with a bat or something and just go
Remember
crazy.
when Hunter went crazy with the gun? Maybe that kind of scenario.
It feels like anything's possible with Tommy in terms of his anger and his I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. So that is it for this week. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for watching. We are delighted to be back and back in your lives. And I don't think either of us are going away for a long time yet. So you've got us back for good for the moment. And if you would like to get in touch with us at any time, in any way, you can do the following.
You can find us on Facebook at Albert Square After Dark, on X and Instagram at E20 After Dark. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. You can listen to us on Apple and all your favourite podcast sites. Drop us an email at e20afterdarkpodcast@gmail.com. And if you'd like to buy us a coffee, you can do so by going on buymeacoffee.com/E20 After Dark.
Yes, you
and Rob,
can
I say something?
No.
Somebody
Thank you for watching.
Incredibly generous.
Yeah.
Someone incredibly generously has bought us 50 coffees.
Thank you.
I just want to say thank you
so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Anonymous.
So good of you, Anonymous.
Kind.
Don't be anonymous.
And you said you thought you were being excessive. Honestly, it's fine. Thank you. Thank you so much.
If anything, I'd say you were being tight. What's the matter with you? No, thank you so much to anybody who's ever bought us.
And everyone else
who's even bought us even one coffee. It means the world to us that you listen to us ramble on every single week, and it means enough to you to be able to do that for us. So thank you so much. And that's it for this week. We will see what's kicking off next week. Halloween approaches, and I have a feeling it's gonna be a big one. So make sure you are here to listen to us discuss all the fallout. Until then, it's goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
See you next week. Goodbye.
Bye. Bye.